Hi, it's Cliff again, and welcome to this part 2 of our series about the Auto Union F102 or DKW. So, you've got your classic project. What's the first thing you're going to need to do? No, whoa. No, not that. No, that's not it. We're going to make an inventory. We're going to see the things we've got and the things we haven't got. Okay? And so, what we're going to do is you carefully go and look at the items you've got. Empty out the boot. Look in the old boxes, which we've got numerous. And you make yourself a list of things you've got and the things you need. Well, luckily with this car, it came with quite a lot of good things, but it is missing a few items, which I'm still working on. Right, okay, so carburetor, yes. Gasket set, yes. Intake manifold, yes. Exhaust manifold, yes, we've got that. Front valance. Spare wheel and the jack and the wheel brace, yep. Brake calipers and the pads are in the boot. Water pump, yep. The auto lube pump for the oil, yep. Not something you need on most cars. Radiator and shroud, check. New set of spark plugs, check. We are missing a 6-volt car battery because the age of this car, it is wired for 6 volts. We're also missing, as mentioned in the previous video, the auto lube oil tank. Now, there's a guy who's abroad who's got one of these, and I'm hoping that will be something I can buy from him. Reasonably priced. It's going to be more on shipping than anything else because I think he's in Austria. And also the water pump mounting. Now, this is a bracket that I think I can make myself just out of some angle iron. It's not a problem. We've made our list. We've checked it over twice, just like Santa Claus. And we know what we need and what we've already got. Now, this is important going forward. It doesn't matter how long this project's going to be, because if this lasts for years, as some project can do, you're going to forget what you've got and what you haven't got. Or you're going to need to go back to that list at some point and go, right, okay, I've got to this point in the car now, we're doing the engine or we're doing the bodywork, and have I got that front and that side? Can't remember having one a car years ago. And this is when your list will be invaluable to you. The next thing will make no sense at all. What we're going to do is wash the car. Now you may think, why are we washing this rusty old thing that you've acquired? Well, because it's been outside and basically it's covered in grit and dust and dirt. And this job has two purposes. Now firstly, and I know this sounds a little bit silly, but basically physically putting your hands on the car and running your hands over it will kind of make you have a connection to it. Nothing weird, but you'll kind of get a kinship with it. You'll kind of feel a connection. Well, I do anyway when I do this. So anytime I get a car project, no matter what it is, I'll always give it a wash. And before you break out the Bubble Master 5000, super spray gun, we're going to do this by hand. And this is where the second part of this comes in. Because when you wash a car by hand, what you're doing is putting your hands on the bodywork and you're finding out where all the little bits of rust are, where all the dents are, that wouldn't be blatantly obvious to start with. When you're washing the car by hand, you will spot little imperfections, dents in panels, pieces of trim missing, just things you hadn't noticed when you bought the car when it first came home. So let's get on with it. Roll our sleeves up, get the bucket out and a good solid sponge and give it a really good wash. So to do this, we're going to be using ye old-fashioned bucket of hot soapy water and a sponge. Now when I say soapy water, I don't mean, fairy liquid or your, usual Aldi alternative like your grandparents used to do in the 70s. No, because if you wash a car with washing up liquid or any kind of detergent designed for the house, most of them contain a lot of salt. So if you've already got a rusty car, it's only going to make it worse. Just a good generic wash and wax will be fine. As I say, this is a preemptive wash, basically just to feel the car out, basically as far as body damage and issues are concerned, and also, I'd say, to form a connection with the vehicle. So let's crack on with it. So we're just getting our soapy water, applying it to the vehicle, giving really good thorough wash, getting into all those crannies. And as I say, the idea, feel out the bodywork, look for imperfections, So I can tell here, look, there's a missing piece of trim on the tip of the wing. Notice that. Also, you can see how the bodywork's going to respond to later paintwork. Things like T-cutting, polishing. Also, if you've got staining on the wing like this, if you've got rust staining, if it's actual rust or just a stain, with a really good scrub, you'll find a lot of stuff that you had at the beginning will start to come away. Hopefully, you won't find too much more rust. Now, standing washing practice is obviously to start from the top and work your way down. A bit of water, gravity, just blow down here. Now, it's not so important here because we've got a rusty roof. Really, we don't want to go too mad with a bucket of sponge on that panel. Also, you can find infections in glass when you're doing this that you didn't realise existed on the vehicle. And as I say, find rust staining, you can give it a good scrub, you'll find some of it will start to come away. And the car itself, having been, in this case, stood outside for a long time, many years, even a minor improvement, just the panels beginning to look more like their natural colour, will make a big impression and will help put on the job. The car starts to look better, even by incremental changes will make you want to work on the car and see those changes. So this is why I'm doing this. I know it makes no sense to some people. I think, why are you washing a rusty old car? But as it's about connection and about getting a feel for what the car is truly like. So, let's just grab a drink can. And as I say, keeping it simple. I think lemon here. Wrong side of my head, but I hope I just plug it. Already. See? I did in the main one. And I've noticed missing piece of trim on the front edge of the wing, which I wouldn't have spotted before when I ran my hands over the car. And also there's a ding on the other side, but we'll get to that. So here we are on this side of the car. Again, just getting rid of the loose dust and grime that have accumulated while the car's been stood. And we'll give this bit a really good rub down to this bit with the rust staining. Now, this is what you find. And you'll notice that you'll get rid of really quite serious rust marks without too much graft. And what you'll also find is bigger damage. Now, along here, we've got a great big dent. Now, this is quite a frustrating one because basically it happened while the car was being collected. I'm not blaming the guy who collected it. He had a hell of a job. He didn't have any keys and the handbrake was locked on. So it was a bit of a struggle for him, but nevertheless, it's going to have to be dealt with. And it's a thing to add to our list. So as I say, we're cleaning the car, we're looking for damage, and we're improving the outlook as we go. Again, quick rinse off, use my back, and as I say, already an improvement in the paintwork. And a little bit of exercise as well. Now on the bonnet here we've got some really bad rust damage, but most of it is surface. So you start scrubbing with our sponge, and this panel's probably going to need to be repainted, so we can be quite vigorous. I don't know if you can see that, but we are start making a section of this better. A lot of this, as I say, isn't actual rust coming through from below. It's just surface corrosion that's beginning to build up on the paintwork, or maybe it's had some paintwork in the past. So as I say, if you look at this section, and you look at that section, and in the words of D.K. Smith, here's a piece I did earlier. This is the original, and this is the new section. Did a little bit here under the screen, and a little bit here on the ends of the bonnet. And again, looking at this wing now, having washed and cleaned it, it's already made the car look brighter and a lot more cheerful. And as I say, we've picked up a piece of missing trim at the end of the wing here. We've noted some damage to the tips of the wings where we've got some rust corrosion coming through, but most of it's surfacey, luckily. Little hole here, which we pushed through while scrubbing. And also this little section at the back, as I say, which is a slightly annoying dent because it was made by the delivery driver, but we're not going to say anything about him because he was a really nice guy. He was really well priced, and he bought the car back 180 odd miles. So, you know, these things happen. And as I say, the car was cheap enough to let it go, and we can always sort it out. So, by virtue of our wash and our clean, the car's looking better already, and we've got our list up to know what we've got and what we haven't got. We're ready for part 3 next time to basically make a start into the actual physical work on the body and the engine. And so that's the end of part 2. Nothing highly exciting, I'm afraid, but these things take time. I know you all want to do see me get in there with the angle grinder and the hammer and, you know, really go at it, but first things to do with these things is be methodical, to make lists, to check things out, to look for damage that you didn't realise was there, to give the car a spruce up, to have a quick go at sort of, if you see any surface rusty, get it rubbed down. So my Cliff's top tip for this episode is to go steady, take your time. There's no rush for this. I mean, we'd like to have this car on the road for next summer for the shows in some sort of solid, safe, reliable way, and that's our goal. But you can take as long as you like. Projects can take years. If you've got your own car for driving around in, you don't need your other car. Your project is a thing of joy, a thing of for you to get involved with and to love. So take your time, make lists, be methodical, work through the problems, start at one end and work to the other if you want to. That's the way to get a project done. And we'll see you in part 3.